everyone. Welcome to another episode of Musings with Yoyo. Today, my guest is Esosa. I'm really excited to have you on here. I've kind of been following all of your social media pieces for a little bit, but we'll talk a little bit about that. You are a doctor, artist, poet, all the different kinds of things. We'll talk a little bit about that too. We'll get you into like the things that you're interested in. But before we do that, let's do a quick check-in. How are you doing today? How's your week been?
I am good. Long time no see. First
I
of all, we
know.
haven't seen each other like face to face for over 10 years?
It has to be longer than that
It has to
because
be longer than that.
10 years ago was 2010. That's when I moved to
Oh my
Canada.
gosh.
Yeah,
So
so I haven't seen you in probably 20 years.
whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Wait, is it 20 years? 2004.
2004, it's 16 years.
16 years long, pretty
Yeah,
long. We haven't seen each
that's
other
a
in
whole
person in
child.
so
That's
long.
at least two children even. So
Yes, that's a lot of children, a generation, a whole different everything. Yeah. And you
but
still got the memo to match.
I know, right? Look at
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a bit cloudy, so I'm in DC. Um,
Hmm.
it rained a lot yesterday. It's a bit cloudy now, so I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to capitalize on the weekend. Uh,
Yeah.
I also have a new job starting on Monday.
Woo
Thank God.
woo.
So I'm trying to mentally prepare for that.
Yeah.
Also moved during the pandemic, so
Mm.
trying to like arrange. So I'm pretty much in a space where I'm trying to get rooted.
Right,
So
right.
that's how I'm doing. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty much in a similar space trying to get rooted too. So anybody who's been listening to the podcast knows that I recently moved to Toronto. Um, and right now I'm subletting a place, so I'm not even where I'm going to be living permanently. So I'm in the process of finding a new place to live in. I'm in the process of adjusting because I'm still working for University of British Columbia in Vancouver. So I'm working Eastern time. They work not
Oh,
Western, Pacific time. So adjusting to that. And then I also recently got engaged. So,
yes,
oh,
congrats.
thank you
Congrats.
very much. Thank you very much. So wedding planning has started. It is a scam, y'all. A scam. But but I'm excited to like hopefully COVID pending, have a good wedding and a good party. So a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Trying to stay rooted, similar to you.
It's very
Yeah.
important.
So you briefly touched on the fact that we haven't seen each other in a long time, but how do we know each other?
So Yoyo, or I guess Yoyo is
Whatever. Some people call me Yo-Yo, some people call me
uh,
Yo-Yo.
we went to boarding school together in Nigeria. So I left I started
And
2001.
one. Yeah.
Did you start also?
Yeah,
And then
2001.
you left 2004.
Yeah.
And then
I
I
left I left actually early 2005. I thought you left
oh,
before
we
me.
left
I
at the
did.
same time then.
Okay, okay, okay. So we left at the same
Well,
time.
I left mid 2005. So I guess pretty much we were there for the same amount of time. So
Yeah.
that's how we know each other, deep in the
Yeah.
bushes of Nigeria.
Deep in the bushes. And you weren't in you were I was in Red House. You were in Yellow
Yeah,
House, right?
the yellow hat.
Yes. Yeah, apparently I'm repping Yellow House
So
today.
you have a
Uh
red couch. It looks red. It might be orange,
and
but it's
this
red.
is wood.
It's wood.
Yeah, it's like polished wood.
Oh wow, it looks
It
like
looks reddish.
orangish red.
Yeah, yeah. It's an orangish wood.
We'll say it's red, just red.
So I
Yeah.
can rep Red House too.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that's how we know each other.
Went to boarding school together, went through all of those NEPA. Apparently, NEPA has changed their acronym.
Yeah, it's changed.
Um,
I don't think it makes the light more efficient, but the name has changed. So
yeah.
there's that. And now there are places that have like 24-hour power. So I think maybe they're called service apartments. I don't know. But
Oh,
like
okay.
some of our friends from Malashri live in those places. I think it's still generator mixed with the regular power company, but at least you pay for something and you get 24-hour power.
Yeah.
Take for granted on the West, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I said on a previous podcast when I first went to boarding school, the first night power went out, and I had just come from Oman, where again 24/7 power. So I was like, what in the mess is going on here?
Yeah, I heard that
Yeah.
on the podcast. It made me reminisce. I was like, yeah. We had to buy mosquito nets.
Yeah, yeah, mosquito nets, mosquito repellent, all the things, man. It was real.
Remember locust season?
Locust season,
Yes. Oh
yes.
my God. Like literally out of nowhere, you see a bunch of stinky locusts just like
Yes.
swarming the place. I'm like,
Everywhere.
is that
I
happening
forgot about
in
that. I forgot about that.
Lagos? And they stink when you kill them.
Yeah. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, good memory. Yeah, it had me thinking about, like, in the Bible they had
The
was
plague.
it the locust plague?
I think there was a locust plague and
Yeah.
frogs also.
Or something like that. But the first time I saw all those locusts in boarding
Yeah.
school, I was like, I'm sorry, what? What's
Yeah.
going on? Like, yeah,
Hmm.
the struggle. Okay, so so we know each other from boarding school. We kind of parted ways. We went to boarding school in Nigeria. Have you been back to Nigeria since?
I went 2007, 2010, and 2018, I think.
Okay,
Maybe
okay,
3 or 4 times since I left.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, the last time I went was 2013 for my grandma's 80th birthday. Yeah,
Wow. Was
yeah, I
that the
haven't been
first
back
time
since.
you had been back since you left?
No, my parents moved to Nigeria. I think they lived there for a year before moving to Canada or something like that. Something like that. I can't remember. But I went before that in 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I think that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. So I've been twice since I left, but I'm trying to go again because I hear of all these changes.
Yes, even ATMs being around the whole place, like that is
Hmm.
to me, I think the last time I went, I was like, wow, there are ATMs everywhere, literally.
Oh, wow.
Like some
Okay.
people basic, but
Yeah, it wasn't there when I was there, so
what's
it's a
there?
change. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself. So I said previously, and I was telling Will, my partner, I was telling him what you do, and he's like, every Nigerian parent's dream and nightmare. So you're like a doctor, but also an artist.
Oh
So
my
tell us a little bit about what you do. You're a doctor, like I said. What kind of doctor are you? You do a
God.
lot of art. Let us know, girl.
I would try to summarize. So I am a physician. That's my 9 to 5. So I'm a primary
Okay.
care doctor. It's pretty much like a GP, maybe. I don't know if that's what they call it in Canada.
Like a family doctor.
Family doctor, yeah,
Okay.
but internal medicine trained, not family medicine trained.
Okay.
Just really briefly, so family medicine, they see pregnant people and children and adults. But
Okay.
with internal medicine, we only see adults.
Oh,
So
okay. Okay. Got
that's
it.
what I do. That's my 9 to 5. However, I am a creative also. And
Yes.
honestly, that means every and anything. So I paint. I taught myself how to paint my first year of med school just out of sheer curiosity because I said, hey, I want to make my apartment look very homely. So
Yeah.
let me paint. And that's how it started. I do poetry. I actually started writing poetry in the nursery in boarding
Oh,
school.
okay.
So around the age of 11 was when I started. Then I did some fashion design also. So I had a fashion line around college where I did African
Mhm.
print clothing. What else? And then now I'm doing this relationship discussions on Instagram called Pose and Discussions. It's hard to describe, but it's, it's
Give
pretty
it a
much,
shot because I was going to
I'll
ask
try.
anyway.
It's a safe space for every and anything discussions.
Mhm.
So literally there's nothing off limits. I have different categories. So there's the funniest part for me, or the easiest one to do is the this or that Thursdays,
Yeah.
which was yesterday.
Yes, I participated.
Yes, you did. It's literally just, would you do this or that?
Mhm.
And yesterday's one was actually very squeamish for me because it was very personal. But the topic was pretty much what is too much to do in front of a significant other. And it
Mm-hmm.
had to do with a lot of bodily functions and fluids.
Mm-hmm.
But people really liked it. And then prior to that, it was about your nighttime routine. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think we've also done, what else? I don't remember. We've done several of them, and they're on my highlights.
Yeah.
But that's just one aspect of polls and discussions. The meat of it, though, is discussing things that are taboo or things that are very difficult to maneuver on your own. So
Mm-hmm.
we talk about marriage. We talk about friendships, especially because I think friendships, they don't get as much rep as they should.
Yes. Yes.
But maneuvering friendships, we talk about different scenarios in dating and talk about sex too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a safe space, and we'll probably talk about it later. But people have shared lots of things with me during
Yeah.
the process. So that's my
Yeah.
summary of who I am.
It's a great summary. It's a great summary. I would say, I first of all, I fully agree with you on the friendships thing. A lot of people, when they think relationships, don't think friendships as
Mhm,
much. And on my last episode of Musings with Yoyo, I had on my friend.
mhm,
We've been friends for 10 years, so we did like 10 lessons that we've gotten out of our friendship. And so many of them, halfway through, she's like, "It sounds like we were dating each other, but like." It's still a relationship. We don't have to be dating to have lessons or things that you do intentionally to keep your friendship like growing and glowing. Yeah, so fully agree with you on that. I'm glad that you do such a wide range. Uh, and as you were saying before, like we haven't physically seen each other in like 16 years. But I would say just from your polls and discussions is probably what got us like talking to each other a lot
for
more
sure,
again.
for sure,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. How long have you been doing them?
I want to say 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years?
Yeah.
What?
I know. It doesn't feel like it, but it is.
What got you interested in doing it?
So it's one of those things where I don't think I thought about it before I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I just started doing it and then it
Mm,
started to pick up. But when I reflect on it, I've just always been that person who it bothers me that you can look at a human being and you can't tell what they're going through, what
mm,
they're thinking or what they're experiencing, especially people who smile a lot, people who laugh a lot. I feel like that can always sometimes become a mask, you know?
mm.
So that's probably what motivated it. And I've definitely seen how even strangers use that as a platform to talk to me about things that they probably don't talk to their friends or siblings or family about. So
Wow.
it was just pretty much creating an avenue for people to be able to express themselves freely and feel comfortable and safe and just digging deeper, helping people to grow by exploring different topics while also having fun with things like this or that or some silly shenanigans that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like it's very cool because I think there will be times where I'll answer a question and then you reach out personally,
Mhm.
like, okay, why did you answer this? Tell me more about it. I get very excited when I see my answer highlighted. I'm like, yes, everybody, that was my answer that she just highlighted on there.
And
So
that's the thing. So all the answers. So let's say I do a poll like, oh, will you pay, well, as a woman, would you pay on the first date? And
mhm,
let's say Yoyo says no. And then I message her, tell me why.
yeah,
Her answer, I put it up, but I don't put her name. So like
yeah,
you can be explicit, you can be very blunt, and no one will know it's you. It's always anonymous unless
yeah.
otherwise stated. But I think that definitely helps people to just speak their mind.
Mm,
So that's what I really, really love about it.
yeah. And what when you started doing them and you started to get deeper answers, how did you determine? Because a lot of what I see is relationships. That's the topic
Mhm.
that a lot of different kinds of relationships. Why relationships? Because you put in also a lot of health pieces and you're very facts based, so you might put in a question about something to do with COVID or something to do with mental health, and then you'll refer to medical resources or things like that. So what made you decide relationships in general, or yeah, why relationships?
Yeah. Because I am very relationship oriented. I realize about myself is I love talking about relationships. Honestly, that's
Mm,
just in my free time. If I want to procrastinate doing work, I end up talking to someone about some relationship thing, like, oh, did you see this? What do you think
mhm.
about this? So I think it's just, and I also worked with a life coach. I just did one session. And
Okay.
what he told me from that was that I'm very connections based. And when
Okay.
he said that, that made me realize my life purpose. I
Mm,
realized that, yeah, relationships lead to connections, and I love connections. So everything I do now is very connections based. And
mm,
I may not do it like, oh, this is going to be connection based, so let me do it. It's more like I see myself naturally gravitating towards those things. So it helped me realize that building connections is something that's deeply valuable to me. So I think
mm.
that's why I stumbled into the whole relationship realm.
Gotcha, gotcha. Because it's always something for me that I love to talk about too. I'm a people person. I like the relationship stuff. And go ahead, good for you getting a life coach. I've been thinking recently about getting a therapist or something, a life
Oh
coach,
yes,
whatever it is. I think everyone needs someone like
yeah,
that to
for
help look
sure.
at your life. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. How's it been having a life coach one session in?
So the life coach I just did, I remember it was Valentine's Day or so random. And maybe 2 years ago, Valentine's Day, I was like, hey, I'll just do like a free session with her. And I did
Mm-hmm.
that. But I've been going to therapy since
Mm,
medical school. So in medical school, therapy itself was free. Um,
okay.
then now I pay for therapy, but honestly, it's not much. It's $50 per session.
No,
Because
that's not bad at all.
yeah, I think insurance covers for some, or they may do income based. So it's quite accessible.
Mm,
I love therapy. I realize I'm very introspective, but I'm the type of person who has also realized maybe 40% of things about myself from speaking them. So if you ask me a
mm.
question, if I don't think too deeply and I just respond, that's my honest answer. And I'm like,
Oh.
sometimes I surprise myself. I'm like, oh, that's what I really think.
Yeah, I be backtracking on some things too. I'll say it too quickly. I'm like, yeah, when I really say what I think too fast.
Yeah, so it's also the idea of just a safe space, someone
Mm,
who's been trained in this. She mostly does cognitive behavioral therapy, so helping you
gotcha.
to reflect on your own thoughts and make more deliberate in like actions based on how you want your life to go.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I definitely
gotcha.
enjoy it and I recommend it. And I feel like, hey, try it. What do you have to lose? Maybe you're
Yeah,
the first person, move on to the next person.
exactly. I
Or
think
maybe you
sometimes
don't like
people,
it at all, and that is okay. But
and
at
that's
least
fine. There are other avenues. I agree. Sometimes people might have a bad experience with one therapist, one counselor, one whatever, and they just assume it's all bad. But that's not. If you
no,
were working out and you had one bad experience at the gym, I don't think you would assume all gyms are bad. I mean, unless you're really trying to not work out.
exactly. Excuse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Excuses. Yeah. Okay. So have you ever gotten any negative reactions from the kinds of questions you ask?
Hmm. So I think maybe once,
Hmm.
but I'm also quite diplomatic. So
Okay.
I'm able to find a way to turn it around to work out to be positive.
Yeah. Do you remember what it was?
I think the person misread what I posted and they
Hmm.
thought it was a bit sexist, which I mean, if you've seen what I've posted, it's not,
Yeah. How?
it's definitely not. But I think they thought I was questioning a woman's ability to choose something. And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I would never do that. I
Yeah.
think they just misread it and then they apologized.
Okay.
So I think it turned out to be positive just because the person still participates, and
Okay.
mistakes happen. So I think is the way I reacted that enabled us to be able to move past it.
Hmm.
Instead of being defensive, like, how could you ever think I would be sexist?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why would you ever think that?
Yeah. But it's funny because people have asked me, do I think that what I post can hinder my dating process? That's actually a question people.
Ooh,
Thought
answer
about
that
it.
question, man. Do you think it can?
I don't think so because I think ultimately what I'm trying to do is to help people to grow and to have
Hmm.
open-minded discussions. So if someone doesn't see the positive that I'm bringing, because I don't do gossip, I don't do negative
Yeah.
things, so if someone doesn't see what I do as optimistic, then they're probably just not the right person, or positive rather, they're probably just not the right person for me.
Yeah.
um, what I think people probably mean is, will the people I date, or will the guy I date think that I will post our relationship stuff on there?
Mm.
And no, because if people have followed, I don't usually post about my stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually gonna
So,
ask that. I was like, I often don't hear about what it is your own really. You're just getting people's thoughts and you post what
yeah,
their responses are.
yeah, because I think I believe in vulnerability. At the same time, I am sourcing so much personal information that if I had to share for each one, I would be like regurgitating my soul to the world. And that's
Yeah.
too much. I think some things you need to keep private, Like
Hmm.
I would share my relationship status, like, hey guys, I'm single.
Hey,
But,
on
but
on the prowl.
not the nitty gritty details, just because I also afford people who participate anonymity too.
Mm,
So if like you and I in my DMs, I would share personally, just not publicly.
yeah, yeah,
Then that would be TMI.
yeah. Exactly. And then it makes it harder for people to also want to share with you.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the most unexpected thing you've learned about people or relationships since starting polls and discussions?
Hmm. I feel like sometimes I've said, oh, I shouldn't post this. The answer is very obvious. But then
Mm-hmm.
people vote and it's like 80% the opposite way that I thought it would go, 20%
Mm,
way, like it's split. And I'm like, wow, I don't know people would think. So I think people continue to surprise me in the way that
mm,
their thoughts evolve. That's one thing. The second thing is probably that people want to talk about what's going on with them. You just have to give them the chance to.
mm.
Because I think one of the most shocking things was I had someone reach out to me about their fertility experience.
Okay.
This wasn't someone that I had spoken to before, and I didn't know
Oh.
the person, but they
Mm-hmm.
told me a lot of things about their fertility experience out of the blue. And I don't think it was even related to the topic, or maybe it
Oh,
was,
wow.
it was it was a bit related, but not as connected.
Yeah.
But it's just like I felt like they saw me as this person that they could trust.
Mm.
Even though we have never met, or never spoken, they just saw that, hey, this person is trustworthy and I can talk to them about this thing I'm experiencing. I've had people talk to me about their sexual traumas.
Mm.
People talk to me about just very vulnerable moments. And it's just very reassuring to me that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm in the right field in this polls and discussions world, at least.
Hmm. I've always seen so when I see pages on Instagram where they are posting things and you can see that people reach out to them, I always wonder, had there ever been times when people will reach out to you about something that you might not be well versed in or feel like you can help them with or anything like that? How do you even navigate that?
Hmm. Nothing really comes to mind, and that doesn't mean I'm an expert at everything.
Okay,
That
claim
doesn't
it.
mean I'm an expert. It just means I feel like I can always contribute. I may not be able to give you a solution, but
Hmm.
I may at least know someone I can ask or find a resource. Like you said, I usually do, when I do health things, I do like facts-based stuff. So
Yeah.
there's some article somewhere, I'm sure I can Google to find some help for the person. Um, if I feel comfortable helping is another thing.
Mm. What do
Because
you mean?
I think when some people can, this is a very small minority of people, but some people that are not necessarily active in your life may see this as an avenue to try and weasel back into your world,
Oh,
so
really?
there is that. It's honestly a minority, maybe like one or two
Mm.
people who you're not very close to, but then let's say I ask something personal, then they come and ask me for my answer. And I'm like,
Oh.
well, we're not actually friends like that, or I don't feel
Mm.
comfortable sharing with you.
Mm.
So that happens sometimes. And I'm
Okay.
like, well, I have to respect my boundaries. And just
Right.
because I'm asking, because when I'm asking, I'm not forcing people to reply, you know? So I feel like sometimes people, the minority of people, one or two, feel entitled to my response because they replied. And it doesn't work that way, you know?
Mm.
Because even though I asked you, you consented to respond, right? You didn't have to. And I don't have to respond to you probing into my life
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
So that has happened sometimes. And I just say, yeah, I don't feel comfortable sharing that with you.
Yeah.
It gets awkward, but I mean, if I don't want to, I shouldn't. So
Have you ever, because sometimes after episodes, I'll do like a poll or a thing like that of my podcast, mainly to see if people are paying attention, y'all. I'm testing to see if you're paying attention. But have you ever, because I don't know if I've ever thought someone would ask for my response. So have you ever stopped yourself from posting something because you don't ever want to share your response on that?
maybe I had thought about not posting, but then I still posted anyway, just because I realized, like, yeah, just because I'm asking doesn't mean, you know, that they should, like, they have the right to ask, or no, that they have the right to hear my answer to it,
Mm,
especially if
hmm.
it's very personal, because I'm not forcing anyone to reply, you know? It's very, if you want to, you can. And
Yeah.
so I haven't stopped. I would just maybe think. So some of the ones, the this or that Thursday that we did yesterday, like, oh, would you? There's certain questions I
Yeah.
was nervous that people will ask me if I would. And what I decided was, if it's someone I'm not comfortable with, I just won't tell them my answer. But if it's
Right.
a friend of mine, someone who avidly participates, also that I trust,
Hmm.
then I think that's the key word. If I trust you, I will tell you my response, because
Yeah.
people who trust me are telling me their responses,
That's
right?
true.
So if it's a two-way street, then yeah, I'll share. But if
Yeah.
not, then no. So because I know, like, I don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, I just ask anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And that's true. That's a big piece about trust too, is most times people are trusting you, which is why they're telling you. They're not assuming you're going to take their
Yeah.
names out or you're going to
Yep,
think
exactly.
poorly of them or anything like that. Yeah. So from the responses I see whenever you post people's responses, it makes me look deeper into my thoughts on a question, or I might learn something new about a person, or I'm like, oh, I might even just reflect, like I never thought about X in this kind of way. And now I'm starting to think about how it shows up in my life. So is there anything you've even learned about yourself or that you've changed about yourself, evolved about yourself from doing these or from looking at responses? And if there are you willing to share?
Hmm. Let's see. That's a tough one. Because I feel like I'm one of those people who, if I learn in that moment. And sometimes I forget what I learned, but it's become part of me now that I didn't know that I didn't know
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But I'll say in general, hmm, don't assume. I mean, I've known that before,
Hmm.
but I'll say now even more so, just don't assume that you know someone else's opinion on something unless you explicitly ask. And this
Mm.
comes up in dating also, you know. You may assume, like, oh, this person didn't call me. Oh, they're probably just chilling at home. They forgot about me. They don't care about me.
Yeah.
But you don't know. You know, sometimes I think we get caught up in creating stories in our
Mm.
heads. And I think this has shown me, because some of my friends, they've that I know, they vote in certain ways. And I'm like, oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that you thought this. So I should just, no matter how well you know someone, it's always good to just ask,
Hmm.
especially when it's important. It's always good
Right.
to just ask, like, hey, are you comfortable with so and so? Or what do you think about so and so? So
Hmm.
I think that's the big general theme I've learned. If I think of anything more specific, I will let you know.
Okay. You do ask a lot of questions about relationships as well. And like I said, a lot of things that I've noticed and health and things like that. Have you used any of the tips you've gotten from responses in your, and are, I didn't clarify at the beginning. Last time I talked to you, I believe you were single. Um, and so have you used any of these in your dating life, in your relationships in the past, or any things like that?
Yes. So I'm
And
single. And I think I did a poll on women sliding into men's DMs. And the general consensus, I don't remember the numbers, but the general consensus or what I took from it was, you know what, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate a man who takes initiative. So that's why it's harder for me to initiate, conversation with someone. But just because I initiate doesn't mean I have to continue to chase. And I think
Yeah.
that is the misinterpretation or misunderstanding that
Mm.
people have, especially if you're a bit traditional woman, straight woman, you may want the man to just chase you to initiate. But what I realized is, you know what? I can just give him a compliment,
Yeah.
ask him a question, and then if he's interested, he would take the bait. And then, I can enjoy the chase or whatever it's called. So I
Yeah.
did take that advice, and I did slide into a DM
Okay.
maybe some weeks ago, but we will see.
Okay, we're watching. Yeah, you don't have to share with us. I'm like, oh, now I know. Okay, so I have a follow-up question to that lesson you just learned. So I was watching another Instagram live, and one of the people were talking about women sliding into men's DMs, straight people. And first of all, a lot of the guys, again, straight guys within who were responding to it were saying that a lot of times they don't even know that they're being hit on because it's again, society teaches women we're not as good as probably the hitting on guys or sliding into DMs. So even if we do a compliment, it could be like nice shirt, and they don't even know that that's what's happening. So what is your definition of sliding into a DM? So you said like a compliment. Is it clear that you're hitting on them? Is it clear that you're trying to instigate something?
So I don't know that it's explicit because it's not like, oh my God, you look so hot, let's go on a date.
Let's do it.
If I'm not asking you on a date, then I don't think it's explicit.
Mm,
Oh, she really digs me. But I think it shares with them a positive feeling, that I have a positive feeling towards them.
awesome.
And especially if you're complimenting them based on looks, then that tends to be like, oh, she finds me attractive, so maybe
Mm.
I'm interested. But I think for me, because I like to stand out whenever, or if I haven't done it much, honestly, I probably slid into one or two DMs in my life. But
That's one or two more than a lot of people.
yeah, but I try new things. But I guess on online dating, if I initiate conversation, so on Bumble, you is the woman that can initiate conversation. I try to
Yeah.
stand out by actually not just saying hey or hello or nice smile, but actually looking on their profile to see something that you like. So this person whose DM I slid into, he's also into the arts. So I was like, and then he's also into fitness. So I was like, oh, hey, I see your journey is quite interesting. You switched from this field to fitness. How's that going for you? And I also see you're into the arts. Me too. That's awesome. So something to show that you've actually spent time to look at their profile or to understand who the person is. So even if they may not know you're hitting on them, they know like, oh, this person's actually paying attention to me. They have
Yeah.
positive feelings towards me, at least.
Yeah.
It's not mutual.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. I think I've probably slid into half a DM. I don't even know if I can say confidently that I slid into anyone's DM, but I'm more of an in-person person. So I tried online dating for all of a week and a half. It was not great. Like
Oh,
it's not my jam. um, like the online swiping things. I'm like, but I want to know you. I want to, all that kind of stuff. So I want to say I slid into like half a DM, and it wasn't that obvious. I'm way better in person. So good for you, honestly. Hopefully you can start to do more of that in person too, because that's something I think a lot of people really stray away from.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So speaking of Bumble, I know that I don't know if you're doing this still, but offering advice to people on their online profiles. Tell
Yes.
me more. Or what got you interested in doing that?
So I've been online dating off and on for some years now.
Okay.
And I showed a friend of mine who's married, I showed her my current Hinge profile. So Hinge I really like just because the user interface is beautiful. It's a
Okay.
bit similar to Instagram in the layout. So I think it will attract people that are at least creative, or, I don't know. But I think it will attract people that I'm more into.
Mhm.
So I showed her my Hinge and she didn't say anything. I was like, look, just tell me the truth. What do you think? And she said,
Yeah.
it doesn't really show depth. And I was like, damn. So it was pretty. It showed pretty pictures, but it didn't
Mm.
really show depth. So I was like, okay, let's revamp it. So she's a creative. We're pretty similar. We're close friends. So we ended up picking different pictures, showing me doing kayaking, showing me smiling more,
Mm-hmm.
making sure I have like a full body picture, a good headshot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, for the first time ever, I put my art on my Hinge profile. Yeah,
Oh, that's vulnerable.
very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I was very vulnerable, but she made a good case for it. And she said, the person you want is someone who appreciates your art, right? And I said, yeah.
Mm.
I was like, so why not just show them your art?
Hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. But that's how I got into it. And I saw the difference night and day. Like, it was
Hmm.
good before, but now I think it is great. I think it shows I'm bubbly. It shows I'm active. It shows I'm creative. It shows more of who I am. So it got me
Right.
thinking, like, maybe other people are not necessarily representing themselves very well on their dating profiles. So I'm doing this Esosa Parfait online dating profile makeover. So yeah,
Oh.
that's been interesting.
Yeah, if I was still on the market, I'd be going on there too, because I think you give a lot of really good insight to stuff. So, anyone listening, are you still taking more people?
Oh my gosh. So it took me an hour per person. So I don't know. Because when I go in, I am going in. I am breaking it
Yeah.
down. I am saying, I'm looking at pictures and I'm saying, what does this picture say about this person? There's a
Mm,
whole form I have people fill out and say, okay, what do you want your profile to say to people about you? What type of personality are you trying to attract in
yeah.
the person? So there's a whole process because I want to make sure I do a very good job. I'm no expert.
Yeah.
I just have a gut feeling and instinct. I know how to read body language.
Mm,
And I've been doing these dating things for 2 to 3 years. So I've gotten perspectives from men and women. So I'm
yeah.
using all of that with the help of my friend who helped me out.
Mm,
So yeah, over wine, we did, I think, three or so for 3 hours. And
wow.
it's exhausting. So maybe I will do more, maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
see.
Well, everyone follow her and stay posted, because then you'll know she's doing more profile overviews. Takeovers?
Makeover.
Makeovers. Wow, you'll get it right. Oh, yeah, makeovers. But okay, we've been going for a little bit. I have another question. Where do you see polls and discussions going in the future? Just because, like, I've seen so much of what you started off doing the polls and discussions, and you have so much engagement from what I can see. Where do you see it going in the future? TV show, perhaps?
Ooh, now, would that be awesome?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. So honestly, I'm very open. It's not something that I have. Sure, if TV is where it's supposed to be, then hey, I've had people actually throw ideas towards me. People like, oh, you should do a podcast.
Mm,
What else do people suggest? Oh, IG live series, I think. People
yeah,
have sent me a lot of ideas. But right now, I just want to prove that I can be consistent with
yeah.
the IG stories posts for a while. Then once I
Mhm.
get settled into that, then who knows? The sky is the limit. I mean, I'm very open. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, you've
maybe.
been consistent for 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, but sometimes I don't do it for like a month.
Okay, gotcha, gotcha. So you're trying to get real consistent with it.
Yeah, so real
Yeah.
consistent, like at least, honestly, a sweet spot for me will be weekly.
Mm,
So we'll see.
okay. Well, I'm
Yeah,
rooting for you. I'm still here doing them. So
thank you.
whatever it is that you do, I'm here. I really enjoy learning all the different things that you talk about on
Yeah.
there. So anybody who's not following you, follow Esosa. She has a lot of really good content on there. Yeah, and your artwork is beautiful too. So I will put all of that stuff in the description too, so people can know where to get your artwork and see all the things that it is you do. So I told you earlier that every guest gets to ask me a question.
Mhm.
Um, do you have a question for me?
Man, so now I wish I listened to the. Can you tell me some of the questions that they've asked you already?
Ooh, some of the questions. Usually it has to do with whatever we talked about. So, um, last week, my friend asked me, so we did the 10 lessons on friendship, and she asked, what is one thing people who don't know me well assume about me? Because this is our lessons were based on us knowing each other.
Mm-hmm.
So what's something they assume? Someone's asked me before, so we talked about he's a life coach, and we talked about his hitting rock bottom and stuff like that. So he asked me, what's the one thing that's preventing me from living joyfully? That was a good question because I had to like check myself real quick. Someone asked me what my purpose is because we were talking about career. Yeah, my mom asked me because I asked her if we were in school at the same time, do you think we would have been friends? And she asked me the question back.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I want to ask something random, but
Okay,
also meaningful.
okay,
So I was gonna ask about purpose, but
okay.
that's already been asked. Has anyone asked you? Okay, I know. Are you ready?
Okay,
No, because I mean,
let's be ready. Let me be ready.
well, I ask people this question
Okay,
because my answer is yes to it,
okay,
but it's deep. You
okay.
ready? Okay, so
Let's see.
have you ever surprised yourself negatively? And if so, what did you learn from it?
So when you say surprise myself negatively, like have I ever done something that like I
That
was
you thought pretty much
disappointed at?
yes. So but not just disappointed, but something that you thought, oh, I would never do such a thing. But then you did, and
Mm.
then what did you learn?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You don't have to
Pro-
share what it is that you did, obviously, unless it's your podcast. So it's up to
yeah. Like if I don't share, I'll probably get messages about it later. I want to say yes because if I like it can't be no. Anyone who says no is not self-reflective.
some
Um,
people have said no. I think
like you have.
maybe at this age, not so much, but maybe like at like 23, 24, probably. Because mine was
Hmm,
when I was 21, I think. So I think it depends.
interesting.
Yeah.
I say yes because I feel like there are probably things I've done that I didn't think I would do, and I was like, oh man, I didn't think this would be me. Um, but nothing immediately comes to mind. Uh, hmm. Damn. Nothing immediate. I feel like I'd have to like share this after. Nothing immediately comes to mind. And I'm thinking about relationships specifically, whether it's in friendships or things like that, because with other things, like I don't think I've stolen. I mean, unless I consider unless I consider when I was a child, I stole a piece of plantain off of my auntie's plate and she didn't know about it. So that I will never forget because I hate the idea of stealing so much that like I still remember I was very young and I stole food. Um,
You were hungry.
I wasn't. I probably wasn't even hungry. It was just there. So yeah. Um, I don't know. I can't think of anything, but this has challenged me to answer it later on. Like usually I'll try to ask a question in the week. So I think this is something
Okay.
I'll probably try to find a way. I'm going to ask this to everyone else if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that's a good question. My answer is still yes. I'm sure there are some. Yeah. Would you be willing to share yours? Or
I
is
will
it like
share what I
super deep? Okay, share what you learned. Share what you learned.
Oh, I would say I learned grace.
Mm,
That was my lesson. My first lesson in grace was wow.
mm,
Okay, so I'm capable of hurting someone to
yeah.
this extent. I didn't know like I was capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think certain circumstances, you know, can bring out certain things from us. Is what I also learned. But I just learned forgiveness and grace. So self-forgiveness especially, and giving yourself grace because we're not
Hmm.
perfect. We're all humans. We'll make mistakes. But it has also helped me to forgive people.
Mm.
because now I've realized like people are capable of anything too, and they may surprise themselves also. Like
Yeah.
they probably didn't go out thinking, oh, I'm going to break her heart today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously motive and intention, all that, there's many things that goes into it. But I think in general, it has allowed me to give people more grace because this life
Mm.
is tough and things
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. I'm with you on the grace thing. And I don't think I have to have even um a lot of times I try to think of like if the roles were reversed, like what would that look like?
Mm,
Uh which makes me a people pleaser or
mm,
sometimes easy to step on. I've
mm.
told everybody in almost every episode now that I need to go to therapy for people pleasing, but it does mean that like there are times where I'm just like, oh, extend so much grace that you miss like also the accountability on the person. But I'm big with you on the grace because a lot of times you'll think, can never be me. I would never hurt someone like this. I would
Yeah,
never do this awful thing. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And even in a situation, there's this book I have over here called Infidelity from Tokyo to Tennessee. Um,
Hmm.
and reading, because I like relationship stuff, I just read the book. And it made me realize like anyone is actually capable. This is a whole different topic, but I was like, wow,
Yeah,
it made me realize anyone's capable of cheating.
for
It,
sure.
it just depends on the setup, the situation. Some people need less to cheat.
Yeah,
Some people need an elephant, like they need
yeah,
way more to cheat, but
yeah.
everyone is capable. And
Hmm.
when I hear people say, oh, I would never cheat, I'm like, well, hopefully you never, but trust me, there's a special specific situation for everybody.
Yeah.
It just made me also just come down to earth and just realize like I should never say I am not that person
Hmm.
because who is that person? Some cheaters never thought they would be that person. So we are all
Yeah.
that person. It's just circumstance based. So
Yeah.
it was very reading that book was very humbling in just different
Yeah.
aspects, not just cheating, but just different parts of life too.
That's the cheating one's a good example too. I was talking to someone, she's older, she's been divorced. I can't remember what it was. But I was like, yeah, I've never cheated. She's like, yet. I was like, okay, I will never. But yes, yeah, she's like, or like she's like, you haven't cheated yet, or something like that. She's like, everybody just thinks they won't do whatever. She's like, but yeah. I
I
plan
don't
to not.
I don't like yet because it's all
Exactly.
bound to happen. But
Exactly.
yeah, I get what she's saying.
Yeah, like, and there's nothing that you can never not like. There's nothing you can't do. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, this is great. Thank you so much for recording with me and joining me. When I started this podcast, I was like, oh, I should be good to have on. So I'm glad that I finally got you on here.
Thank you so much. This is my second podcast
I
ever.
listened
So
to the first one. I
okay.
did. I did. The one about friendship breakups, right?
Yes,
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 I listened to that.
yeah. So thank you for having me. I was so
Of
excited when I
course.
saw your message. I was like, hey, YOLO, let's do it.
Yes, do it. I love it. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you.